The Economic Democracy Act, getting capital ownership, a second income, and economic power to every citizen. Part 1. The problem. Throughout history, the rich and powerful owned the things that produced wealth. When land and people were what produced wealth, the rich and powerful owned land and people. In today's 21st century global economy, the things that produce most of the wealth are technology and other forms of income-producing capital. Things like automation, robots, and artificial intelligence are reducing the amount of costly human labor needed to produce the goods and services we buy. This threatens the way most of us earn a living, through our jobs. Wealthy people, on the other hand, profit from what technology produces by owning and controlling shares in corporations, using technology and other productive capital assets. The solution: the Economic Democracy Act. The Economic Democracy Act, EDA, is proposed national legislation with a plan to extend to every citizen every year, from birth to death, equal opportunity with the means to acquire income-producing capital assets. The EDA would remove artificial money, credit, and tax barriers that prevent most citizens from becoming financially independent capital owners. By democratizing today's ownership-concentrating money system, the EDA would extend to every citizen equal access to new, asset-backed money and interest-free credit. Citizens would use their capital credit to invest solely in growing profitable businesses, including those using advanced technology. As we finance more sustainable, environmentally sound, and broadly owned growth of the economy, we can build a more prosperous, life-enhancing, and just society. Why are so many citizens powerless today? It's simple. Too few own capital and too many own nothing. As ownership gets concentrated, power gets concentrated. In America, citizens are entitled to participate in the political system through the vote. Only a small percentage of citizens are able to participate in the economy as owners. It's hard to be economically independent when you depend on others for wages, welfare, or charity. To have economic freedom and power, we need to be owners with property, meaning the right to control and receive the full fruits, profits, produced by the things we own. To become an owner of income-producing capital, we also need access to the means to acquire it. Those means are money and credit. Unfortunately, how the present money system finances new capital added each year by corporations keeps most of the future ownership of capital in very few hands. How could every citizen gain capital ownership, a second income, and economic power? We need to change the money game. Today, many people, even the poor, can buy on credit consumer items such as cars, TV sets, clothing, and homes. However, these purchases are not income-earning capital. Loans for consumer goods often make the poor poorer, and when government keeps borrowing more and more, we all get into trouble. But what if we could change our money system so that every citizen, from the youngest to the oldest, would have equal access every year to capital credit to buy shares of the new productive assets added each year to the economy? What if every citizen could gain a second income from their ownership share of private sector profits? The Economic Democracy Act would enshrine in law as a fundamental right of citizenship, universal citizen access to capital credit through a sound and transparent banking system. This would help broaden the political constituency for free and open markets and the restoration of the full rights of property. It would create a broader tax base to meet the legitimate costs of government, reducing the need for welfare and other income redistribution programs, and we wouldn't have to take away wealth from existing owners. Part 2. How does the Economic Democracy Act work? In 2023, America added about $5.97 trillion worth of new productive assets to the economy. With a citizen population at that time of roughly 334 million, that came to almost $18,000 in new capital assets per citizen, Census.gov, December 2023. The way we financed those new assets, however, created few new owners and widened the gap between haves and have-nots. According to the Federal Reserve, at the end of 2024, the top 0.1% of Americans owned more combined wealth than the bottom 50%. Now imagine that under the Economic Democracy Act, all or a part of the annual capital growth was financed in a different way. What if each of us as citizens, adult and child, had access each year to insured capital credit through the banking system to buy new shares representing new capital that would pay for itself with its own earnings? For example, with a $10,000 annual line of capital credit at a 0% annual growth rate, every child born today could gain, by age 18, $190,000 in tax-sheltered assets, $18,190 in annual after-tax income, now $120,052 in total dividends during that period. By age 65, $660,000 in tax-sheltered assets, $88,690 in annual after-tax income, $2,667,050 in total dividends during that period. Projections and explanations at cesj.org. The Economic Democracy Act proposes several ways that every adult and child could get access to self-repaying, interest-free capital credit for feasible capital growth projects. Future profits of the capital purchased would first pay off the loans used to buy the capital. This would include a one-time bank service fee and premium for capital credit insurance to protect against loan default. After each capital loan is repaid, future dividends from your shares are paid to you as income. You and every member of your family could get access to this special credit by setting up a tax-sheltered capital ownership account, or COA, like a super IRA individual retirement account, at your local bank. Your capital ownership account would shield your other assets from being seized by the lender if your capital loan goes bad. Through your COA and with the guidance of your financial advisor, you could purchase with your capital credit new shares sold by 1. Companies for which a member of your family works, 2. Companies where you have a monthly billing account, such as your utility company, or 3. Qualified companies that are well managed and highly profitable, like Apple, Berkshire Hathaway, Microsoft, Procter & Gamble, etc. Cities, states, and regions could also establish for-profit, citizen-owned Citizens Land Development Cooperatives, CLDCs, to attract interest-free credit to buy land for development or build new infrastructure. Every permanent resident, adult and child, would gain an equal dividend-paying voting share, providing them an equal slice of profits from land development. Where would the new money and credit come from? Using the existing powers under Section 13(2) of the Federal Reserve Act, the 12 regional Federal Reserve banks would supply local banks with new money as needed to finance feasible capital growth plans of companies. The new money and credit would have to be channeled through citizens' capital ownership accounts and other ownership democratization vehicles. Through a well-regulated central banking system and other safeguards, including capital credit insurance to cover the risk of bad loans, you and all other citizens could purchase with interest-free capital credit newly issued shares of growing profitable companies. Nothing would come out of your pocket or reduce the income you use to put food on your family's table. Your capital loans would be paid off with dividends earned by the shares you acquire. These dividend payouts would be tax-deductible to the company and would speed up the time required to pay off your capital loan. Within a relatively short period of time, as each year's capital loans are paid off, you would gain full ownership of the new shares you purchase every year. For the rest of your life, you would receive a second income from the earnings of the capital you accumulate over the years. You would have income-producing wealth to pass on to your children. The Economic Democracy Act is an idea that America could export to the rest of the world. When every nation adopts an Economic Democracy Act of their own, the citizens of every nation will be able to enjoy equal access to capital ownership opportunities, rights, and benefits. If we build a stable, prosperous, and environmentally sound global economy, we will have a strong foundation for peace, ever-widening prosperity, and full human development for every citizen of the world.